Now we move on to legal and contractual effects of a constitution. Okay, so basically, a constitution is a document which has contractual effects between its company and its members and between members themselves. So, now for companies which adopt constitution, they normally adopt by way of special resolution. So those adopted constitution shall be binding on the company's directors, members. Yeah. Okay. Now, Section 33 itself says that when it's adopted, it's a bind as if the constitution had been signed and sealed by each members. So whatever covenants in that particular constitution, you must observe. So similar provision can be found in the Company Limited by Guarantee at Section 38, subsection 6. So basically, parties in the constitution can enforce their rights based on the doctrine of privity of contract. Now, this is can be further strengthened by this case, this argument. If you look at case Raffles Hotel Limited, Emlayan Banking Berhad, where the court held that articles could not constitute contract between a company and outsider. So it means that it's only a binding contract between companies and its members or between the members themselves. Okay, so when we talk about binding legal contract, we're going to look into two things. First one, binding contract between company and member, and the second one, binding contract between members inter se. Now, when we talk about binding contract between company and members, it's best that we look at this case, Hickman and Ken, or another or Ramneymanship Breeders Association. So for this particular case, there was a provision in the article saying that any dispute between the company and the members should be referred to arbitration. So of course, there was dispute between the company and one of the member. So matter was brought to court. Company applied for stay of the court action because there was an arbitration clause. So basically, this is what the court say. They say that the constitution form a contract between company and its member. Okay, so since it's a contract, so basically, it's a binding agreement, it's a binding provision, so you must give effect to that particular provision. So the matter should be referred to arbitration instead of bringing it to the court. So what court further says is that members can only enforce provisions which confer rights on members in their capacity as members. So basically, when we talk about constitution, it only talks about rights as members. Okay. Now, when we talk about binding contract, between members and company and between members themselves. So basically, they obliged to obey and observe. So any breach of this provision, the other party can enforce it by taking it to the court. Okay, so there are a lot of cases which refers to this particular binding contract between company and member. Okay, you can look at the case of Betty and Betty. Okay, Betty and Betty. Okay, where the court says that again, look at Master of Rolls, Lord Green. Contractual force given to the Articles of Association is limited to such provisions of article as apply to the relationship of members in their capacity as members. Okay, so if you're a member, you can actually enforce the clause in the Articles of Association, or for our case is Constitution. Now you are also advised to case of Pender, to refer to case of Pender and Lashington, where the court held that members have rights to enforce provision in articles, and which entitle them to vote. So basically, right to vote and right to have the vote counted were personal right given to them as capacity as members. So you can also look another case, a famous case of Ellie and Positive Government Life Assurance. In this case, Ellie is a solicitor. Okay, there was no separate employment as a solicitor. Okay, he has been appointed like for life. However, the company somehow or other along the way decided not to continue with the employment. So he was, they didn't continue. Now, Ellie try to rely on the articles, try to rely on the articles in the AOA, okay, which says that Ellie should be the solicitor for life. Now, Ellie is also a member of the company. Now, because being a member, he also know there was a provision in the AOA saying that he will be appointed for life. So, he sued the company for breach of contract. Now, the court dismissed his application. He says that Ellie could not rely on the article to give him the right to be the company's solicitor, because the right given to him is only conferred on him as a capacity of member, which in that particular case, solicitor is not a member, so it cannot be enforced. Okay, now look through the notes. I've given those cases in the notes. Now, the other one is a binding contract between members. Between members inter se, so among the members. So, constitution constitute a contract between each individual members. Only the only things that affect them are the provision which affect their capacity as members. Okay. Now, look at the case of Rayfield and Hans. This is where this particular member, which if they want, in their article, if they want to transfer their shares, they had to inform their directors, to which the directors can take the shares equally between them with a fair value. Now, this particular member, Mr. Rayfield, he wants to transfer his shares. Okay. Now, he brought an action to compel, to force the other directors, also the members, to purchase the shares. Okay. Now, the court says that because there was a contract constituted by the article between Mr. Rayfield and the defendant, okay, the members, so the court ordered the defendant to purchase Mr. Rayfield's shares in accordance with the articles. So, the obligation imposed on that director, although he's a director, but that particular obligation is in his capacity as members. Okay, look through for the cases of Wong Kim Fat, okay, for another example of binding contract between members. Okay.